All right, so today, y'all, we're gonna talk about multiple offer situations. What we have right now is definitely a seller's market, but I think it's a seller's market like huge times 10, because the things that I'm experiencing is something in my real estate career I've never really seen, where houses are being offered 10,000 to 50,000 over asking. And it's a lot of people out here that sounds like they have a lot of cash for a down payment to put those type of offers in. So what we wanted to do is just have a training on things that you are going to experience definitely in the next couple of months. Once you, if you have buyers and actually clients who are your sellers too, you experience it both ways, that it is a very, very competitive market, not a lot of inventory out there. And so you're gonna go up against, at least I've seen 10 offers at minimum. If the property is worth anything, I'm seeing a turnaround in the market of properties being on the market for about a day or two and being taken off immediately. So we do want to put y'all in a position that you can get the favorable offer to the agents and become and get awarded that contract.
Amen.
All right, so we got about 10 things that will put you in a position to be favorable to be awarded that contract. And the first thing is, if you have clients that have cash, cash is king. That is going to get you the deal, period. So what you can do is make sure when you're speaking with your clients, you have all of their options, all of their financing options. So if they have cash, of course, definitely go with the cash. If they have a VA loan, definitely find out if they can qualify for a conventional loan or FHA. And just have all those options available. So when you call the seller's agent and you speak with them, you can tell them all of the options that your client has, just in case that is something that is of a concern for their client.
Cool.
That's it. What y'all think about that? Is that a good one? Have y'all ran up against that at all? Or
my cash?
I think that's a good one. Yes, you answered the question I didn't even know I had, but yes.
You didn't even know you had?
I didn't even think about.
Yeah, we got to be real creative as realtors. We got to think out the box.
Yeah.
We got to think for the client, think of every option. And, a lot of things that we all know is through experience as well. So you won't automatically know different options. That's why you have, your broker and your mentor and other people and your whole family team that you can ask of different options. But yeah, cash is king.
Yes, I wouldn't have thought about that.
Financial options is available.
Cash is king.
See, Terry, you got a delay. So I didn't quite hear you. All right, so the next one is writing a letter. That's a real big one. I actually experienced this myself. So what you can have your buyer do is write a letter to the seller, letting them know any type, sellers, sometimes they have a hard time wanting to sell their home. And they still, are still a little hesitant during the whole process. And sometimes if they receive a letter from someone stating that they're going to take care of their home, a letter that shows that they appreciate some of the work that the seller put into the house, being real specific on some likes that your client likes and the reason they want that property. I was actually awarded, I think they had 3 offers in, and I was awarded the contract based on the regular bathroom. I call it the public bathroom. What is that? Not the master, but the regular bathroom in the house for everyone else. The guest bath. I call it the public bath in my house. I'm like, that's the public bath. I don't go in the public bath. But the guest bath, the reason my client got it is because it had a tub in there for someone who wanted to step in the tub. It looked like it was a tub for an elderly person. And so my client actually had lupus. And she wrote a letter and let them know, you do not have to change this bathroom. I want to take it as is. And it's the best thing that I like about the house because I don't have to actually install that type of tub. And so I'm sure that other buyers that came through probably mentioned that they didn't like that particular tub in the guest bathroom, because that's the main bathroom for everyone to use. So I was able to get that contract awarded just because my buyer wrote a letter. So that's always a good option. So you want to tailor it to whatever the situation is. and just be, just have your buyer go ahead and just feel comfortable in writing that letter, and you actually submit it to the agent and ask the agent to submit it into their seller with the contract.
All right, cool.
Okay, cool. You ain't helped me at all today.
What? I'm here. I'm giving you
Bounce with me.
positive reinforcement.
Okay.
Good job, Lisa. Way to go.
All right, so the next one is there's different options that you can have with your contract. When you submit in your offer, there's different places in that particular document that can help you get awarded the offer. One of them is offer more for the option fee. You definitely want to stand out. Maybe, usually we give them $25 a day. If you want to go up to $50 a day, it's up to you. But definitely give your client the options to do that.
I was listening. We were listening to a guy, and he said for option fee, he would offer like $1,500, like $2,000 for the option fee. But he would only do it if the house was like 2018 or newer. And if he'd kind of walk the house and he can kind of see like this house not really gonna have any major issues, then he would use that as a way to try to get picked over other offers by having that increase, because that's guaranteed money to the seller regardless.
Definitely, that's very enticing to a seller, and it lets them know that you're serious. And I like that he waited to 2018 would be something that you kind of know the inspection is going to go well. It's not going to be too many problems with that. So you're pretty sure. So when you offer that to your client, be pretty sure that your client and you have assessed the situation, but that's definitely a good option.
Well, I think the biggest thing with a lot of these things you're going to recommend to people is as buyer's agents and even as buyers getting over that fear. Like, oh man, if I offer $1,500 option money, like, oh man, I'm not going to do that. Or, some of the other things that we're going to talk about, that's, I think, going to be the biggest issue. It's because like when the market's so used to a $100 or $150 option fee, and the market's used to this and used to that. But right now the market is crazy. So if you're going to win, you got to go all in.
Definitely. Good one. And also the next one would be earnest money. You have earnest money as well as another option to offer and set yourself different from the rest. Or reducing, so the earnest money or reducing the time period that it's going to, the option period time period is also something that you can tailor toward the offer as well. So ask your agent or the agent if 3 days would be good. So if you offer, you ask for 3 days and $1,500, I'm sure your offer is going to be placed first in line.
Absolutely. or just forego the option period altogether. Yeah. And just say no. That's the next one.
That's the next one.
No option period. But
yeah, that's a good one too. I mean, no option period, but again, you definitely want to make sure that
that's going to freak people out.
The property, yeah, it lets them know you are very sure. It lets them know you're very sure. So y'all just consult with your broker on that one before y'all actually make that decision, because we want to make sure you get awarded that property. Well, that's the best option for that property.
Well, I think it's about how I think the most important thing is how you frame it to the buyer, right? Because the buyer is the one that's got to make that decision. Like, hey, do you want this house bad enough to have this level of risk associated with it, right? I mean, I guess the right, I mean, there really is no right or wrong answer. Like, it is what it is. Like, if this wasn't the situation, if it wasn't a multiple offer situation, then we could maybe go with the more traditional measures of protection. But because of this situation, we got to make changes. We got to take better, more. We got to take more. What's the word I'm looking for? Greater risk, I guess. We got to take greater risk because of what's going on.
Yeah, we want to do everything that we can to get our buyer in the right position, but at the same time, we definitely want to look out for our buyer too. So
right,
everything's going to be different. So once you have a situation, think of what that best option would be for that client.
Absolutely. And look, you guys can chime in. Yeah. So like y'all have scenarios and situations where you were in a multiple offer situation and didn't win and was like, man, I wish I could have approached it differently. You guys jump in here as well. So we can all just kind of learn together from the Brain Trust.
Anybody had any situations where they that they've come across multiple offers yet? When you have, huh? Yeah, I have.
How was that experience, T? Oh, T is in the building. Y'all can't see her, but she's in the building.
It wasn't great. It sucked really bad because I mean my client wanted that house and they didn't get it. So
It's been
I don't
twice.
know, it's been
It's been two.
yeah, it's been 2. Yeah, actually, yeah, 2.
Yeah.
So it's been tough.
So
I mean,
when thinking back on that in the situation, some of the things that Lisa's already offered, like, do you think your client would have agreed to any of that stuff to win those houses?
He did.
yeah, I mean, we tried some of those things actually. But like Lisa said, the first thing that came out of your mouth, the first piece of advice was cash is king. You know, if you have a cash buyer, then, you know, those are the ones that are more likely to be awarded the contract. And
Yeah.
you know, in both the situations, that's what happened.
It was cash.
And my buyer is a FHA loan. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean,
I would like to make a comment. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, T. You said.
Hold on, Patrick.
I was about to say, it's important just to, one of the things that you can do to kind of help like, mitigate some of the, like, I guess, fallout is set the expectation going in and let them know, like, still be confident. Don't dampen their, you know, their spirits, but also set that, you know, just let them know that this is how we're going to do this, how this could play out.
Right. I got you. Good job. Thanks for sharing, T. Go ahead, Pat. What you was about to say?
Okay, yeah, because I have a question, but from my experience, because I've been in it 3 times, 2 times on the buyer side and one time on the seller side. On the seller side, yes, we took the cash offer. That's just what it was.
And was that
cash? My client wanted to close fast, so that's why she took the cash offer.
Was the cash offer less than some of the other offers y'all had access to?
Yes, it actually was. Yes, the cash offer actually was less, and she chose to take that.
Wow.
It wasn't by much, but it was just a little less, just because I know she wanted to close quickly. So it can also depend on who your client is at that time, depending on what they want or what they want to do.
Right.
But on the buyer side, I've dealt with it twice where I was able to get my client to actually offer higher for the bid, and they won in both situations. But what ended up happening is by the time we got to the appraisal, the home didn't appraise out for it. So we had to go back to the negotiation table, and then we renegotiated to get the price back down.
Oh, wow. But at that point, you kind of control the house because you're already under contract.
Right. So this is where I do have that's where my question is to you. So, which I know we're back in this type of market where it's a seller's market. What can sellers do to still keep people, like, if they're getting these many multiple offers and you got these many people offering, and even if a person do offer above, okay, when we get ready to go to appraisal, if it don't appraise to that, is there any contingency that seller has to, you have to pay them or not? Or would
it depends on the forms that are submitted. For instance, if it's a FHA and they fill out that third-party financing addendum, but on that third-party financing addendum, it's saying if the house doesn't appraise, the buyer has the right to walk away. So now, if the seller says, "Hey, you know what? We need to, we need to take that part out. We don't want that part third-party financing addendum," and the buyer agrees to it, then at that point the seller will have something. Now, if it's a conventional loan, if they don't submit that what is it, right to terminate?
Right to terminate.
Yeah. So if the buyer doesn't submit that, then again the seller is protected. So if you're representing the seller and you want the buyer to still move forward if it doesn't appraise, then I think that's something you had a conversation with them, and they would have to remove those provisions from those 2 forms if it's an FHA or conventional.
Okay, cool.
But it's like, is the buyer going to agree to that?
Right. Okay. And what would it be like in a cash offer? It's still the same form. If that buyer, let's say if it's the buyer that offers the cash, but they say, hey, if it don't appraise, I know it's a form of contingency that they could still say the same thing for the appraisal, right? Is that correct?
So no, because
Oh, okay.
yeah, if it's a cash deal, then you're not submitting those addendums.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And then
Yes, sir.
cash deal, and then with a cash deal, it's not like there's a lender that's requiring an appraisal. See, like the appraisal comes into play because the lender is in play. But if you're paying cash, the only way that an appraisal is done is if that buyer says they want to get an appraisal done. If they don't, then they just bring their cash to the title company.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Good
the only
question,
thing
man.
that you can do to protect your client in a cash deal is that option period.
You mean the buyer?
Okay.
To protect your
He's
the
talking
buyer.
he's talking about from the position.
Well, yeah, but she's answering no, because I reverted what she's answering to was if you had the buyer in that position, offering on that type of cash that brings cash to the table, that's doing a cash offer.
Oh,
And
you're saying how to protect them.
That's what I was asking in general. But you answered the question, and then she was just picking back.
You know, he the
off of
seller
it.
person. I'm the buyer person. I like buyers, y'all, all day long. I like the happy buyer that want to go look at the house, and that is what I go after.
At least
Those are the happy people. But in this market, you know, you got to really have a diverse portfolio when it comes to clients right now. Because I love my buyers, but it is not their time right now.
It's not
not buyer time. So now you want to go after these sellers so that you can get, maybe if you do have a buyer, you can be on both sides of it. That's gonna be the best situation. But
now this is now Terry asked the question of, you know, how often will buyers pay more than their appraised value?
That happens often.
If they want the property, I have come across a few people that will, and the conversation you want to have with your client is just to make sure they have enough money, the down payment. If we're not talking about cash, but we're talking about finance, and they have to come to the table with more of a down payment because the property didn't appraise. So you have to let them know. So if you have a client that has $20,000 in the bank, and you know that, you know, we may be off by $5,000, they still have to come up with the down payment plus that extra $5,000.
And you know, the reality is, like, when I bought my house, I paid more than what the appraisal said. If you have a plan on, if you plan on staying in it at least 5 years, then it's gonna recoup that at some, you know what I'm saying, through appreciation. Like I paid more than what the appraised value was at the time I bought it. This is like 5 years ago, but now we're sitting on, you know, $20,000-$30,000 worth of equity. So it's gonna catch up. Sometimes the appraisals are just behind the market in a lot of instances.
Yeah, I've asked some of the appraisals, what do they use? And if it's a place in the area, like say Third Ward, I'm real familiar with that area. And some of those properties, they really don't sell those properties. They pretty much rent them out, re-rent them, renovate them and re-rent them or anything like that. So you don't have a lot of different data for the comps. And so I'll call the appraiser and ask them, you know, what are you using? But they will have a hard time in those type of areas. So at that point, you just have to tell your client, hey, you know, in Third Ward, I'm telling you, you're going to get your money's worth.
Right.
Buy it. And I've had clients walk away and now they call me and like, I can't believe I didn't do that. Yeah. Exactly. That's why you have a realtor. The realtor going to look out for you and advise you what you should do. But
yeah, I can't believe you walked away from it either.
Exactly. All right. So cash is king. Just remember that. Much cash as you have, money talks. Another one is skipping over or reducing your contingencies, which is, for instance, if you have an inspection done, you can tell your client, hey, we're going to just get this inspection done so you can be aware of the things that's going to go on in the house that you may have to improve on in a couple of years. But if there's nothing pressing the sale, then definitely ask your client, just now you have this report. Utilize this report so while you're living here, you can fix the property up. But as far as that being something that you go back to the seller for, it may hinder us from getting that contract. So we want to definitely reduce the contingencies, not come back with a whole bunch of repairs, let them know you want the property as is, and your client is really looking forward to the property.
And you know, buyers got to understand, when you're in a multiple offer situation, like you trying to get chose, like you can't be going at it like you have the leverage position, like you don't have it. So you gotta, like you in essence, you're trying to get chosen. You're trying to convince the seller to pick you. So you can't be going up there with demands and like, oh, well, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. No, you're not gonna get picked. They're gonna pick somebody else. And if a buyer is not approaching it like that, and I think sometimes it's hard for buyers to kind of transition to that role because they go into it like, oh, they're doing the seller a favor by buying their house. Like in a multiple offer situation, you're not doing nobody no favors.
They definitely feel that way. Your client is like that, huh?
Oh my goodness, it's a headache. Yes.
Now we had to go through, and sometimes you got to get them there. You got to get your buyer there. So yeah, they may lose one house and they'll lose the second house, but I guarantee you after that third one, it's going to lock in. That they need to really look at this at a different standpoint. At this point, you want to purchase a home. The seller is not needing you. You need the seller. So
Right.
you definitely want to, switch up as you go throughout the process too. Because how it starts and how it ends is an adventure. It's an adventure.
It's an adventure. That's a great way to put it.
What else? What else you have? What else you? Anything that you can think of? Something else?
Yeah, let me find some more.
Yes, reducing the inspection time, reducing the time that it. The closing date. If you can call the lender, or if it's cash. So cash, you could probably close cash deals in 10 to 15 days. That's why we say cash is king, because you can go to the seller and let them know I can close in 15 days. If you have a different type of loan, and one loan, like I said, have your client have all their options available. If they have a VA loan, it takes 30 to 45 days, but they can also get closed on a conventional loan within 20 days. Let the agent know I have a loan that I can close within 20 days. And sometimes that definitely helps. The faster you can close. That's pretty much all you can do to set yourself different from the rest, other than, just being great personality, talking to the agent, trying to see, because some agents talk way. We get in a habit that we don't contact the other agent. I don't know what that is, out of fear, or I don't know what it is. I don't understand, because I don't do it. So, but y'all can let me know what are the things. Huh?
You contact the other one.
I contact them. I try to make them my best friend. I try to say phrases and words that's gonna stick out. Definitely let them know who I'm with, what's my name. So when they see the contract or when they see the offer, they know it's me. But just definitely, if you interact with the agent, you can talk to the agent, and that agent might spill the beans. Sometimes I get agents tell me, oh, they already have another house, so we have to get this house sold. That right there helps, because and I asked, what's the close date on the other house? Okay, yeah, we can get it done, a week before that, or however, whatever the seller needs, because it's really about what the seller needs. Even though you are on the buyer side, we still trying to get the contract. So we definitely have to take into account what the seller is looking for that's going to entice the deal.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's what you're saying is that taking the time to really understand the other side's situation, because in some instances, it's not about the money. It's not about the offer price. It's not about the closing gap. It's not about it may be something completely different, but if you never go have a conversation with the listing agent to try to get that information out, and most listing agents, they want to close the deal just as much as you want to close the deal. So they're willing to work with you, work together. And sometimes that listing agent will go to bat for your offer if he feels like y'all will have a better working relationship than maybe some other offer or some other agent that maybe came at him like being a butthole or something like that. So, when you find yourself in that multiple offer situation, like you have to take everything into consideration to put yourself in a position to ultimately get your client's offer picked. You got to get chosen. And there's all of these different, and that's why we want to come together and have a training / discussion about it, is because there's so many dynamics and variables. So many of us have experienced it already. And, nobody wants to start over. As the agent, you don't want to start over, have to show that client another house, get them to pick another house when you got them to pick one already. That client doesn't want to have to start over and find another house. So, when you find yourself in that multiple offer situation, you got to be creative. You got to be resilient. You got to do whatever you can to get picked. What's that mean, Lisa?
It's my creative thing. Gotta start being creative. What am I gonna think? How you see the wheels are spinning. That's the wheels spinning.
The light bulb above your head. Yeah. And you got to be intentional about it. If you're just gonna approach it like every other realtor approaches it, then you're gonna lose, and you're gonna have to keep starting over. The ones that win in many multiple offer situations is the realtor that could be the most creative and have the most level of influence over their client to get them to move in a direction that's best for them, to get them to pick the deal.
So yeah, contact the agent, y'all. Contact the agent. contact your mentor, your coach, and practice with them if you're nervous about it. Because one of the things, I had a client a few months ago that when I called the agent, they were actually not going to show. I think they listed it on Friday and they were going to have an open house on that Saturday. And I called and I said, "Oh, can we just go see it Friday? Can we just please go see it Friday?" And she granted us that. And I was able to put my client in the first position before the open house. And if you can get a good offer in before an open house comes or that traffic comes, because a lot of other people, like people who don't want to call the other agent, are waiting on the open house.
Mhm.
So if you can get your client in the first position, and just let them know, hey, you don't even have to worry about the open house. I have somebody for you already, and that agent is happy because then she can go on to something else, and the client is happy because they don't have people trampling through their house. So that's a win-win situation if you can get yourself in position, but you actually won't know until you call and ask.
Yeah.
Can't just sit at the computer and look at HAR and wait for things to happen. We got to be, proactive.
Got to be proactive.
Got to be proactive
Not
and
reactive.
creative. Yes, not reactive. Everyone else gonna sit there and be reactive, wait on the open house, and then you got multiple bid. And I'm not saying this is gonna work every time, because a lot of clients want the house to be on the market for a few more days, especially after the open house, because they've already prepped the house for that.
Yeah.
But you can also let them know, hey, I was trying to make it easy for y'all. You know, I'm trying to help you.
Right. And then and there's a couple of articles that we pulled up. So if anybody's interested in those articles, if you put it in the chat, we can get those links emailed or text out to you. That that offers some additional insights of what we talked about today, just to put yourself in a better position, because it really depends on the client, which one of these techniques and which one of these tactics you can work. Because if you got a client and they really don't have a lot of cash, then maybe you can't offer a greater earnest money or higher option money, or bridging the gap as it relates to the appraisal. So it really depends on, if you have a client that maybe they have another house to sell when they buy this one, then they can't really, close the close date time frame or something like that. So it really depends on each client's situation. So I think it'll be a great resource if you just had these articles, and then you can revert back to them. If you find yourself in that multiple offer situation, you'll be able to take into consideration what your current client's situation is. So we'll get that out to you if you put it in the chat. I think one person said it.
All right, Pat, we'll get those to you. So last but not least, if the client did not get awarded the contract, the last thing you can do is a backup offer for your client. Just let your client know we are not going away without a fight. We want to be next in line. And pretty much they have to, and the way a backup offer is you actually just putting it as a backup. Your client goes and drops off the earnest money. So whenever that deal falls through, your client is automatically first in line. There is no putting it back on the market. There's nothing. Your client is the next person. So you definitely want to put them in a position to be the backup offer as well. And a lot of realtors don't think about that at all. They just move on to the next situation, where that right there is still, you can still move on to the next situation, but at least you put yourself in a position where if anything happens, your client is first at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So what other questions do y'all have as it relates to this? Or concerns? Lisa did that good of a job.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
would say she's very thorough.
Thank you. Oh, well, that was good, y'all, because I wanted to have 20, but I don't think it's really not more than 10 you can do. Once you just as creative as you can be, that's pretty much it.
So it's only so much, huh?
Yeah, your personality, that's it. All right. Well, Patrick, thank you for coming. And I think Terry must have dropped off. She was in Sam, so you know how that signal go in there.
Yeah, she fell out.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Patrick. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all
I
have a
just
good one.
text you the articles, Pat.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah,
All right. You too, Pat.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Y'all have to decide on being a piece of love realtor. Because Nina Patel has the mind for a realtor. I said, how you gonna have lunch with me and we talk about mindfulness, and then she go back hashtagging mindfulness. So
Yeah.
it's off.
We might. No, you ain't got to turn it off. Don't turn it off. Because we might still, some stuff may come up right here. With Lisa.
I took all my brain power to do. I had no more wheel.
La Lisa. Lisa say I'm done.
Yeah, that was good though. We needed to kind of focus on that, and offer some different options because it is out there.
Or
So
is
you
that
have
just
something,
true?
you're gonna go back and tell Robert, hey, this is the deal. These are the options from now on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's really nothing on here that I haven't said to him before, but the thing about him is he's one of those people where, you know, you just have to keep saying it. And he has to like hit his head and mess himself up.
I think that last one kind of hit. I think that last one hit him. I think it did because it was a nice property.
I want to think so.
I was happy that he
I
wanted to
think
go
okay.
over.
Cheers, back.
He wanted to go over. So, but now we know how to work out the option period. How do the earnest money. Now we have those options, so we can let him
and
know.
he has and that's the thing. Like he has the cash to do extra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that'll work. And they even have in the contract where you can put on there additional money, if you want it.
Additional earnest money.
Yeah, additional earnest money outside of the regular earnest money that you can always offer them that. Hey, we want the property. So even after the inspection, and we decide that we definitely gonna keep it after the 3-day inspection, my client gonna give you an extra, some money in your pocket, but that it's gonna just apply to the sale of the house. It's not gonna be on top of, but it's definitely gonna entice the seller to understand that your client is very serious about the property. And if they have anything going on in their life that we don't know about, that could entice them wanting to go ahead and go with your client.
Well, I think again, and I'm gonna always go back to this, when you find yourself getting into a multiple offer situation, like you said, most realtors don't want to be bothered with it, but you need to call the listing agent and say, hey man, what is important to your seller?
That's
as it
true.
relates to this offer, like what is important? Because that's what we want to focus on. My guy wants this house. So we want to focus on where it matters with your seller. And then if they should be able to tell you like, hey, this is, he really cares about price. So you need to submit your highest price. That's what he wants. He wants the best price. Or, there's this time frame that, they got to be moved out. So I think instead of trying to guess, just go straight to the source and let them tell you what it is. Because look, it ain't, you're not in any room for negotiation. You tell the listing agent like, look, man, we know we ain't in no position to negotiate. So tell me what this thing needs to look like for us to get it.